Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we discuss week 36 of 2022. Let's get going. Well, coming out here to do the video for week 36, I could not help but feel like we're sort of starting over. When we first started this way back at the beginning of the year, it was nice and cool outside. As you can see, I'm wearing long sleeves. The mornings now are in the 50s, which is fantastic. The lows are still in the lower 90s, but that's great news for us and our plants. We're getting a lot of sunshine. We're right now, the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've averaged almost 2 inches of rain a week, which is really nice. That means we're not having to water, and if we do, it's quite sparingly. So all of those things lead to a happy homesteader, to be honest with you. So anyway, today what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through the gardens. We'll take a look at what we planted, that sort of stuff in our fall garden. But before we get into that, take a look at this. I wanted to throw this in here this week. In the second week of September, we are still picking these peppers, and you can see they're pretty good size, fist size still. Some of them a little smaller. These over here, we have pretty good sized banana peppers. So I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to pickle them. And these peppers over here we'll take and we'll freeze, and we'll use them in sauces and such as the year goes along. So we're just going to take a quick look here at the old garden. We got a few things done this week. We added some extra eggshells and coffee grinds to these beds, and I'll show you why. So let's go take a look at it. I just kind of wanted to show this real fast. We went through and we put in our old eggshells. We do let them cure for, a few months before we put them in here, just so the taste and all of the residue from the egg is off of them. It kind of discourages your chickens from eating their own eggs if you do it that way. So if they get in there and do happen to consume some of the eggs, they won't get a taste for their own. So anyway, we put this and coffee grounds in there. Check out those potatoes, man. Those are looking pretty good, huh? And the reason is we're having some topsoil delivered, and I want to be able to mix the compost with a lot of the amendments in this bed, so that we can kind of get it ready for the rest of the compost once that's completed. So the next thing I wanted to show you though is beforehand, if you see here, our sweet potatoes had grown all the way around on the outside of this bed. So what I did was I just went through and I trimmed off at one of the nodes. Let me see if I can find an example of what I would do. Okay, so over down here, you see where right here, you see these little they look like roots coming off. What you do is you just cut them on the downside of that, and you can stick those back in your garden, or so I'd been told. So what I want to show you is that we tried it, and this was the result. All of this green, all of that, they've been here almost a week, and they have started taking over. So next year, that's what we will do for sure. We'll just pluck anything that's going to grow in the rows, stick it somewhere else, so that it can create nice sweet potatoes. But these, look at those blooms on there. You see that? Those things are kind of cool, that white and purple flowers. You can also tell that our chickens are liking it now that we broke up the dirt in these. It had gotten way harder than I thought. So in the future, I'll make sure that I take a hoe through, even with the compost periodically. I think a lot of it has to do with the scorching heat that we had through the course of the summer as well. So, like the first, 2-3 inches were great, and then once you got underneath that, it was like a compost rock. So, lesson learned. This is my first summer that was like stupid crazy like that. So from now on, we'll just act like every one of them has the possibility to do that, and we'll plan accordingly. Now let's take a look at the top garden. For those of you who don't know, last week, actually a week ago, so when you're watching this, it'll probably be Monday. So as of Monday, it'll be a week since we planted our fall garden. So let's go take a look, and you'll see the progress. It's really exciting. So as I stated, it's kind of exciting for us. Less than a week went by, and we already started seeing things come up. So we'll start over here and kind of give you an idea. you can see, yay, baby carrots. These things are coming up really good. Apparently I threw a radish in there on accident, so I suppose I need to pay more attention. But it looks like this all up and down. The carrot seeds are quite small, but they're coming in really well. These are here and there. Those are the turnips, and again, they're coming up really well. It won't be long before we're thinning these bad boys out. So over here, what we have are the second round of our Roma tomatoes, and we put these in because we wanted to see how many tomatoes that we could get in our fall garden, if any. We had the extra seeds, and I wanted to see if it was feasible to grow. But then we went through this weekend and started looking through our freezer space, and for this year anyway, until we get a larger freezer, these Roma tomatoes are going to be either eaten or given away. If we have as many of these as we did in the summer garden, we're going to be giving a lot of the tomatoes away. Then up here we have, these are our beets. We did a little bit better job of separating these than we did the turnips. And full disclosure, when I say we, I mean me. Leslie did the beets and they look fantastic. I did the turnips and they don't look great, but just don't tell her I said that. So here we go. We also have basil's going well. The seeds have not quite started to form. You can still see whenever you look in these little pods there, when the seeds are ready, they'll be all black. And you want to get them before they're too dry, because what can happen is as soon as they turn black, you can pull these off, take them inside in a shoebox or something, and let the sprigs dry and just shake them, and you'll have like probably hundreds of seeds off of just these few. We have 3 up here, so we'll have enough for a couple years worth of basil. Oh look, I think that's a great example. Let's see if you can see. Hopefully you can see those the darker spots. Hey look, there's a bug in there. But so it won't be long, a couple weeks, and we'll be trimming these off and keeping our own basil seeds. We did keep all of these alive, our Beefmaster tomatoes, through the drought and such, kind of babied them, and we have been rewarded with another round of large slicing Beefmasters. So more than likely this will be something that we grow year in, year out. These Beefmasters have really paid off for us. So over here again, you can tell this is the leaf and radish, even though we have radish in our carrots. So I need to pay better attention to that, huh? So radish, and then we have lettuce, radish, lettuce, radish. And you can tell the difference. This is the Butter Crunch, and this is the Black-Seeded Simpson. The Black-Seeded Simpson, it will come up, it's like a smaller leaf lettuce, whereas these have quasi heads on them, the Butter Crunch. So, of course, these are going to come up significantly faster, but we're still working our way through having Butter Crunch come up, radish, Black-Seeded Simpson, etc. So we are really excited about the direction that our fall garden is going. I'm also feel a bit vindicated for spending so much time and effort on those Beefmasters. We spent, I can't tell you, countless hours through the course of, through the summer, just toiling away, trimming everything, fertilizing and such, and we weren't getting any tomatoes for probably 3 or 4 weeks when it was like 110 every day and no rain. So it feels good, to kind of put that effort in and now be rewarded with being able to grab some tomatoes. Week 36, we also did a few things here in the pallet garden, and this thing, it's crazy, man. It is still going strong. This was our spring garden, and then we put in some summer plants. And just to be honest with you, I am more than satisfied with the way the whole pallet garden thing is looking at this time of the year. So week 36, right? Almost middle of September, and it looks great. Let's take a look. So I just wanted to show real fast here. We took out the corn. It was time for it to go. You can see down here, you can see those cobs, how they're all cleared off. Yeah, the raccoons got them all. So I went ahead and pulled them, and I broke the soil up really well, but you can see I'm kind of letting it sort of stay with the undulations in it from when I pulled the corn. And the reason is, again, we're going to have a large amount of topsoil brought in, and I want to work it into the compost to see if through the course of a hot summer if it holds water a little bit better. So I don't want to overdo it. I'm just going to put a little bit of the, I'll probably put in about 3 inches of the topsoil, work it in really good with the existing compost and the amendments. Once we're done with that, we're going to shred the leaf from the oak trees this year, and I'll work that in as a tertiary supplement, and hopefully that whole thing will give us a bit more moisture retention. The soil did great. Now, I don't want to pretend like it didn't, because we did better than most, and we're very thankful for that. But what I do want to consider as I go forward is, with this channel being meant for informational purposes and sort of showing our journey so that other people can benefit from it, I do believe that what we need to do is err on the side of caution. So if we prepare for the worst, as my grandmother used to say, all our surprises will be pleasant. So I think we're going to take that approach going forward. I want to show this. This is the melon bed, and let's take a step back. You can see with the shorter days and cooler weather, man, those cantaloupes do not like it. But over the last week, we have pulled off about 8 to 9 cantaloupe, and we probably have another, I don't know, 4 or 5 coming off. And there were also quite a few melons. You can see that large watermelon over there. There's some here on the front as well. So once the vines on those die off, we'll rig those, and I'll give you an update. I'm hoping they're really, really sweet and delicious. If not, we'll try again next year. So look at that cantaloupe down there. He's just about ready to come out. I'll check on him in a minute, in fact. So these banana peppers we have talked about all year. They have been nothing but fantastic. Our bell peppers, at the beginning of the year, I was a little down on the bell peppers because we weren't getting as many of them as we were the banana peppers. But as you saw earlier, we're getting a lot of them. And this one here was small 3 days ago, and they're just swelling up. I don't know, I thought the peppers liked the hot temperature, so maybe they like it a little cool in the evenings and this really warm temperature in the daytime. So it's like I said, it's still like 90s, so that's good. But we're gonna have at least as many peppers as we shown earlier once again this week, so that's fantastic. Look at this guy. Now, these are the cayenne peppers, and for anybody that watches the channel knows, Leslie and I don't care for the spicy pepper, so we put in 6 cayenne pepper plants thinking they were going to be small plants, and we could grow them congruently with our Swiss chard. Well, this is a 4x4, and these things are growing on the outside of it, and they are just loaded. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to just let these guys go buck wild. We're going to go through here, put on long sleeve shirts and some gloves, pick them all, and I am going to make some fermented hot sauce. I'm going to try to make it where it's not real spicy, but considering that I have no idea what I'm doing, Magic 8 Ball says chances are not likely, but we're going to give it a shot. So this Swiss chard is still going strong, and it is delicious. Even when it gets this like red color to it right there. These make fantastic salads to go with these guys. And this is really what I wanted to go over, was anybody who saw before whenever I trimmed this back, there were a lot of people asking if I had killed the cherry tomato plant. And I just kind of wanted to show you all so that as next year, as a reference, maybe you can do the same thing. I'm telling you, if at the end of the hot part of the summer, whenever you get to like that, right after the dog days, as my grandmother used to call them, like that last week of August, and just trim your cherry tomatoes, the philosophy I use is whenever I think I've gone too far, I cut a little more. And but anyway, this is what happens. If you get in here, you can see we are going to have as many, if not exceed, the number of cherry tomatoes that we had during the spring. I mean, look at this, everywhere. And we're eating cherry tomatoes over here on the west side of the bed. Under here, we are picking mass amounts of cherry tomatoes a day now. So this whole thing is working out really well. We are very pleased with the way that our pallet garden has done this year. As an aside, we will be doing the second part of our series rating our summer gardens this week. So Thursday, keep an eye out. We'll be going over the top garden, how it did, what we got, and any improvements that we need to make. At this point, I would just like to say thanks to everyone who has made it this far. If you have not, please consider subscribing to the channel. A lot of you have, and it helps us out a lot. We do appreciate it. It's free for you, and it does help us reach our goals. If you enjoyed this video, consider hitting the little thumbs up button. So before we go, there's just a few miscellaneous things I wanted to touch on. We are also, behind me, our beehive has started gradually leaning. So I went in to check it. We had a vole that went underneath of it. And when we got the rain, the cinder block started sort of collapsing the vole's tunnel. So that's something I'll have to deal with this week. I would also like to bring the chickens up real fast. Now, through the drought that we went through when it was super hot, the chickens were eating an insane amount of food, and I couldn't figure out why our expenses were going up. It's obvious now. I mean, there was just not enough food in the yard for the chickens to eat, so they were eating more out of their bowls. So now that the weather is better, we're getting regular water. The chickens, they are not eating near as much. So we're back to, only having to buy, we probably buy about $12 worth of food every 3 weeks or so. So what we do, we sell the eggs to recoup that cost and maybe a little extra pocket money, but it's not much. You'll never get rich selling eggs, I don't think, but you can definitely sell enough of them to pay for feeding your chickens, so that works out really well. Another thing is, and we've touched on it a little bit now, what I want to do is I would like to get a large load of topsoil brought in. And the reason for that is, of course you can tell we live on a hill, so every year there's a lot of runoff that we like to fill in, and over time we're gradually getting to the point where we have to do less and less. But this year I'm going to try to add 2 to 3 inches of topsoil to the compost that we have in the old garden and the pallet garden. And then in the fall, whenever all the oak leaves come down, I'm gonna chip all that up and I'm gonna mix that in as well to sort of allow the composting to happen in the beds. That's in addition to the composting that we have here on the property. So I'm hoping that that works. But, well, I guess at this point, I've probably rambled enough. We appreciate all you folks watching. And until next time, I hope you all take care of yourselves. Peace.